Welcome to Betting Weekly WTA, the women's tennis betting podcast, brought to you in association with Bet Rivers. Before we get started, make sure to like and subscribe to us on YouTube and your favourite podcast provider. And tell us what you think in the comments and follow us on social media. The handle is @BecauseWeWin. And make sure you subscribe to the Betting Weekly newsletter with picks on various sports from all of our handicappers. I'm Rory Jiwani. With me is Nigel Seeley, looking ahead to two more grass court tournaments. Got the 500 in Berlin and the 250 in Nottingham. But first, Nigel, what's been going on this week? Tatiana Maria, 37, nearly said 77, 37 years young, knocking out Jelena Rybakina and Madison Keys at Queen's Club. And then she's won the final not that long ago. She beat Amanda Anisimova. And in Hertogenbosch, more shots there. Elise Mertens winning it. She beat Gabby Ruser in the final. But yesterday, an incredible match against Ekaterina Alexandrova, Nigel.
Yeah, hi there, Rory. I'm just going to apologise in advance. I've got a terrible sore throat at the moment. So if I sound a little bit croaky, it's because I've got this terrible sore throat. Yeah, I mean, it was wild. I mean, I tweeted yesterday about the Alexandrova match. I actually bet Alexandrova to win the match at -136. And I bet her to win the tournament. I said to you last week that I fancied either her or Samsonova. I didn't know which one to go for. And I backed Alexandrova when she beat Samsonova to win the tournament, and she failed to take 11 match points. I think I was speaking to you off air. I think that's a record. 10 of them, only one of the match points was on her serve. But right. 11 match points in a match, and she didn't take one of them. And she went and when she lost the second set, you knew the fate. She was in trouble. But that's going to take some time for her to recover from that match, I'm sure. I mean that is an incredible loss there. Mertens would count herself lucky to win the tournament. I didn't fancy her at all. She would count herself very lucky to win that tournament. And then just now, Tatiana Maria, as you said, an incredible performance. A big underdog in every single match she played. First qualifier through to win a tournament since September on the WTA Tour. Come through qualification, won it at 37 years of age. And it just shows you that when you have that transition from clay to grass, you do get shock results. You do get these times where people take a little bit of time to get going. By the time Wimbledon comes, everybody finely tuned. But in these warm-up events, I think there is big dangers betting favourites on the outright market and on the matches. I mean, if you look at Tatiana Maria, she was 8-1 to beat Rybakina. She was, where was she? She was, what price was she to beat Keys? She was 5-1 to beat Madison Keys. And she was 2-1 in the final. So that's big underdogs in those matches. And she come through, and she deserved to win it. She played tremendously well. She's a player that hadn't won in 9 matches coming into the tournament. And now she's going to celebrate. And I'd be very surprised if she rocks up in the first round of Nottingham after winning the 500 at the age of 37. Because as you get older, when you party, it takes you a couple of days to recover. I can assure you on that. So I think she's going to celebrate in style, but I wouldn't be surprised if she's an absentee this week.
Yeah, I mean, I watched some of the final today, and I don't know if any of the people watching are familiar with, in boxing, we have a term called old manning. When you old man a young fighter, when you just sort of get them into places they don't want to go. And Maria, I think she did that all week because, she reached the semis at Wimbledon a couple of years ago, of course. And 3 years ago, I should say. She plays a lot of slice shots. She mixes things up. And I think partly, as you say, to do with the transition, but also I think a lot of these players are so used to playing on hard courts where the bounce is very true. The ball sits up. You can smash it as hard as you like. If someone's asking you different questions, obviously the ball keeps low on grass. It hurries onto you a bit. And I think some of these players just don't know how to handle it. I mean, I saw another example on the theme of German veterans. I saw Laura Siegemund beat Hailey Baptiste in the Nottingham qualifiers earlier. Now, Baptiste is a player, I think, who's got a game really well suited to grass. But Siegemund was the one attacking, coming into the net, playing the drop shots and just mixing things up. And I think for a lot of players, that's a real puzzle, especially on grass. I mean, I remember there's that Taiwanese doubles specialist, Su Wei Xie, who always did quite well at Wimbledon. And she's got one of the weakest serves in the game, but she slices and she mixes things up and she causes people problems. I mean, and one thing that Maria did do well as well is she served very well as well. And you need to serve very well on grass. But if you have a bit of variety in your game, it really can work. And amazing, 37 years old.
Well, you've only got to look at
the
one thing you've got to look at, Rory, is the list of previous winners of Wimbledon. If you look back, you look at the Australian Open, you look at previous winners of the US Open, you look at the French Open, they're dominated by the world best players, Sabalenka, Iga Swiatek, they dominate the Roll of Honour in recent years. At Wimbledon, neither of them have won Wimbledon. Neither of them have ever got to the final of Wimbledon, Sabalenka or Swiatek. And in the last 8 years, there's been 8 different winners at Wimbledon. And the last couple of years, there's been some real big prices. Grass is a surface where you do get shock results, especially on the women's game. The women's is wide open, and it's one that when you come into these tournaments with low price favourites, I wouldn't be necessarily betting them, especially on grass.
Yeah, and seamlessly that takes us to Berlin, where we've got 9 of the top 10 players in the world. The absentee is Iga Swiatek, who again looks like she's going to go to Wimbledon without a warm-up. It's a 32-player draw. Buys for the top 4 seeds. Expect this to be very quick. I mean, Queen's played very quick. I think service hold percentage was around 72 this week. Hertogenbosch was quite a bit slower. It was around 65 by my calculations going into today's final. But last year, Berlin played quicker than absolutely anywhere else on the tour. Service hold percentage is 74.7. And the year before, it was a whopping 76.5. So, this is going to be very, very quick. Jessica Pegula's the defending champion. She beat Anna Kalinskaya in last year's final. Petra Kvitova won in 2023 against Donna Vekic. Ons Jabeur in 2022. Belinda Bencic retired injured in that final. Bencic was the runner-up again the year before. Lyudmila Samsonova won that title in 2021. And that was the first year back after over a decade away. So that's all we've really got to go on. Weather-wise, very pleasant all week. Mid-20s Celsius. So that's high 70s Fahrenheit. Nigel, I think we've got a clue here as to which players are going to go well here.
Yeah, it's a tournament that has been dominated by big servers, big hitters, powerhouses of the game. Ons Jabeur isn't a powerhouse, but she's a grass court player. But unfortunately, she's bowed out qualifying today. She's got beaten qualifications, so she's not going to be in the tournament this year. If you're looking at there's trends of the tournament, only one number 1 seed has won the tournament since its formation, and that was Ons Jabeur back in 2022. A couple of unseeded players have made finals the last 2 years. Kasatkina was an unseeded player, made the final. Vekic was an unseeded player. She made the final as well. Bencic was an unseeded player when she made the final as well. So the last 3 years, unseeded players have got to the final, but they haven't necessarily won it. And only one number 1 seed has won it. The number 1 seed this week is the world number 1, Aryna Sabalenka. And it's her first match since, obviously, her shocking performance in the French Open final. I must admit, I think, and again, she was very petulant in a statement after, and I don't think she makes any favours when she loses the event, but it shows you how hungry she is to win. Is she going to be all out to win a 500 in Berlin before Wimbledon? That's question marks about it. I question whether she's going to be fully motivated, but she does have a bye through to the second round, along with the top 4 seeds, which are herself, Paolini in the top half, and Pegula and Goff in the bottom half.
Yeah, if the quarterfinals work out as per the seedings, Sabalenka will meet Qin Wenxiong, although the Chinese faces Yelena Rybakina first up. That's a hell of a first-round encounter. Last year's Wimbledon runner-up, Jasmine Paolini, she'll play Madison Keys. In the bottom half, defending champion Pegula would play Mira Andreeva, and Paula Badosa will play French Open champion Coco Gauff. Nigel, there's a lot of qualifiers to be slotted into the top half of the draw, but that looks the stronger, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think the top half is definitely the area of the draw where I think it's a lot tougher. Sabalenka, world number 1, Wimbledon finalist Paolini, Australian Open champion Madison Keys, all decent grass court players. Schneider, who's capable of beating anybody. There are lots of qualifiers to go in. Like you say, there's about 6 qualifiers in that one quarter, so we don't know the strength of them. And some of the qualifiers are good players, If you look at the qualification here, there's some good players. There's some incredible first-round matches for a 500. Rybakina Ishung, Keys against former Wimbledon champion Vondrousova, Andreeva against Magdalena Frech, Anisimova against Andreescu. Not quite sure, again, whether Anisimova may might not travel out there. I don't know, given that the fact that she's just come through a final there, I'm not 100%. But in the draw, I mean, looking at the odds with Bet Rivers, I mean, there is some prices there where you would think that the number one seed's got to be the bet. I mean, you're looking at people like Sabalenka, but would you back her at plus 160? I wouldn't back her at 160. I mean, if you want to go through the runners and riders and have a look at these odds, but I mean, the top two look very short to me in this field.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. So you've got Sabalenka, the favourite, looking at these odds, plus 160, Coco Gauff, plus 375, Jelena Rybakina, $10. So it's $10 bar the top two. That's got to be some value there. Pegula and Andreeva, $12. Paolini and Keys, $14. Vondrausova and Anisimova, $22. Zheng and Badosa, $25. Osaka and Andreescu. I mean, half of these are slam winners and they're at massive prices. $28 and it's $40 bar those. I mean, look, for Sabalenka, I was looking at her record. She's played in 16 grass court tournaments in her career. She's reached 2 finals, Eastbourne in 2018 and Hertogenbosch in 2022. And she lost them both.
Have you seen her record in this tournament, Rory?
It's not great, is it?
She's played 4 matches and only won 1. She's been beaten in the first round in 3 other occasions. And she's plus 160.
You've got to oppose her.
If you look at her Instagram account, she's in another holiday with her boyfriend. She's not going to be 100% focused on this for sure. And I think at plus 160, it's a big price. A short price. So, I think you're going to be popular, but you couldn't bet her at plus 160. I mean, we don't know the quality of her opponent, obviously, because there's qualifiers in round 1. But then she's likely to run into Rybakina. She's likely then to run into Madison Keys, and that is her route before she makes the final. And then if she runs into Gauff again, the draw suggests that if you work out those 3 matches in a treble, they're going to be much bigger than the plus 160. Yeah. But I think there's some people there who I think if we go through the top half of the draw, Sabalenka, not for me at plus 160. Zheng, I think she got very, very lucky to get to the semi-finals here. Raducanu was awful against her. And she should have got beaten in the round before. Was it Kessler? Was it Pete Kessler? Shouldn't have beaten
Yes.
her.
Yeah.
So she was like, she's not a grass court player. Paolini, I don't think she's going to do what she did last year. I've said this year she may have a little bit of a burnout. She did well at the Rome event, and that was the pinnacle of the year. I think she's on the decline since then. Madison Keys, shock defeat, but a real form, a player who's going to be always considered in grass court events. But the thing is, she's in that top half of the draw. That's why she's 14-1. That's why she plays Vondrausova. I think if you're going to go for each way value, you've got to go in the bottom half, and that's where I'm looking. I mean, Mira Andreeva, I'm not convinced by her on a grass court. I think her best chance of winning the Slam was the French Open, and she blew it in that match against Boisson. Pegula, I know she's the defending champion here, but she's never someone I want to bet, and certainly not full favourite in this. I know the quick conditions will suit her, but not at full favourite for her. And Gauff, she's just, this is her first time since winning the French Open. She's been on every single chat show. She's suddenly like a pin-up girl of every single sports magazine in America. Is she going to fancy a 500 in Berlin this week before Wimbledon? Again, I think question marks about her. So, given the nature of the draw, given the nature of the way that we're saying about shock winners, and we're saying about Titania Maria coming through at a massive price, we had Rusa coming through to the final at a massive price as well. And the fade, I'm going to go for someone at a big price here. I'm going to have a half a point each way on a girl who was terrible last week, but I'm going to give her another chance. And that's Ludmila Samsonova at 50-1. I think 50-1 is a disrespectful price for a player who's a top 20 player. She's a player that's very, very capable on grass. She's got one of the biggest serves in the tournament, in the game. She's a big hitter. She's up against Naomi Osaka, where she's a narrow favourite to win that, but I think she should beat the current version of Naomi Osaka. She'll then run into Pegula, which I think Pegula is beatable. And look at her record, look at her form in the French Open. She was obviously shot there by Boisson as well. So I think she's someone. I've got the feeling Anisimova might not play. Andreeva, I think, is questionable. She's won this tournament before Samsonova, and I know last week she got beat in the first round as a 7-1 by a 7-1 underdog. I can't remember the girl, the Canadian girl beat her. I can't remember her name.
Carson Branstein.
That was
exactly.
But that was that match was interrupted by rain, and she had to come back the following day. And I do think that sort of the players lose a bit of momentum. She was on the comeback. She lost the first set. She come back and won the second set. Then she had to come back the next day. So I'm overlooking that performance. I just think 50 to 1's a big price in a weaker section of the draw. And I think, you've got to be away from the top half, or I think the top half is loaded. And at 50 to 1 each way, half the odds 1-2. I'm just going to have a half a point each way on Samsonova at a big price to win this tournament. She's won it before. She won it in, I think, 2019. And she's a player that does well here. The tournament favourite has played 4 matches and only won 1. The second favourite is still on a honeymoon period after winning the French Open. Major concerns about Rybakina and Keys, given their draw. And I think 50 to 1 Samsonova is my each way selection this week at 5-0, 50 to 1. In a week of shocks, I think there could be a shock here as well.
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, the bottom half is the way to go for each way value. And Samsonova, I mean, she was favourite last week, wasn't she? Favourite for Hertogenbosch. So there's a massive reaction to that one shock defeat. And, you can make excuses, as you say, first match on grass of the year, transition from clay. She won this tournament in 2021. And I remember when she won it, everyone was talking about her for Wimbledon. She was like the pick that everyone wanted to be on for Wimbledon. I don't think she got particularly far, but she was probably 10, 12 to 1 for Wimbledon after she won in Berlin. So, she's won here before. She's got the game for grass. We know that. So for her to be $50 it's just the wrong price.
Well, her grass court record is 28 wins and 15 losses. Sabalenka's 34 wins and 19 losses. So there's nothing really between. Obviously, she's played at a high level and she's probably played better opponents. I mean, only marginal. I don't think there's been much in it, but she's got more or less an identical record, percentage terms, to the tournament favourite. If you look at Coco Gauff, her record on grass is 24-10. So it's a very, very similar record to Samsonova.
She's never reached a final. On grass. I
think it's a big price.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, my main pick, you've got Samsonova. I will go for one in the top half because I think it could fall apart. And I think Madison Keys will make it through. She'll go deep because she's got Vondrausova first up. I still don't think Vondrausova's fully fit, fully tuned up. Then it's either Schneider or Vekic next round. That could be tricky. I mean, there's a lot of qualifiers in that top half, so that does muddy the water a bit. But then you're looking at Paolini. Of course, they met at Wimbledon last year. Keys was all set to win and then got injured. And then in that top quarter, Sabalenka, Rybakina, Zheng. You just don't know who's going to get out. I mean, you could make a case for Rybakina at $10. You really could.
Not if you've watched last week. She was really cool. I mean, she's a player who's got serious issues at the moment. I mean, you're hoping that she can find some kind of level that she showed a few years ago, but at this moment in time, I think she's very, very, very opposable.
Yeah, well, she won that tournament just before Roland Garros, didn't she? But yeah, she does carry a bit of a health warning. And I think Keys just ran into, obviously, Keys and Rybakina both ran into an inspired Tatiana Maria this week in Queens. I think, the fast condition suits them both. I think Keys has got the easier draw than Rybakina, because Rybakina, as we said, we've got Qinwen Zheng first up, probably Sabalenka in the quarterfinals. And I think Keys actually might not have that bad a route. So I'm going to go a point each way on Keys, but I really like the Samsonova half a point each way because, she can't be, what was she? I think she was $3.50 last week for Hertogenbosch, and now she's $50 this week. You're getting a great price based on one.
Yeah, but you also got a very, very tough field. I mean, 9 of the top 10 players. But her grass court stats are up there.
Absolutely.
In the top 3 or 4 in this tournament. I think Madison Keys has only got a higher percentage grass court record than anybody else. And Rybakina, those two have got a higher percentage record than, if you look at percentage terms, she's right up there with the best. Yeah.
I think Samsonova is a massive, massive price. Let's move on to Nottingham. 250. Katie Boulter is the 2-time defending champion. Last year, she beat Karolina Pliskova in the final. The year before that, she defeated fellow Briton Jodie Burrage. 2022, Beatrice Haddad-Meyer got the better of Alison Risker And in 2021, Joe Conter beat Shui Zhang in the final. Conditions-wise, it should be pretty quick. Not as fast as Berlin, but service hold percentage last year was 70.4. Actually almost identical to Wimbledon. Weather-wise, it's pleasant. Bit of rain forecast on Friday, but otherwise low to mid-20s Celsius. So that's mid-70s Fahrenheit. If the quarterfinals go according to plan, Haddad Maia will play Bolter. So that's two former winners meeting each other in the quarterfinals. Yulia Putintseva against Linda Noskova, also in the top half. Leylah Fernandez against Elise Mertens. We'll see if she turns up. Although, actually, I'm really surprised because I looked at Mertens. I thought she was in her mid-30s. She's only 29, wow, which really staggered me. And the fourth quarterfinal would be Magdalenette against Clara Towson. Anything take your eye in this draw, Nigel?
Well, it's not as strong as the last one. The tournament in Berlin. Tennis fans will be seeing a lot better quality tennis in Berlin than they will in Nottingham this week. The one thing I would say from the trends, the tournament's been going for 9 years, and the number one seed has won it 4 times, and it's got to the final on 2 other occasions. So number one seeds have done very, very well here. It's a tournament where the leading contenders usually do well, the favourites do well here, compared to any underdogs or any shocks. If you look through the betting of the last few winners, they've always been someone who's in or around the top end of the market. The number one seed this week is Beatrice Haddad-Maia. I watched her match against Emma Navarro at Queen's Club on Monday, and if she plays like that, she's going to get beat in round 1. She's a massive, massive fade. So number one seed got a good record, but this number one seed, I think, is vulnerable.
Let's have a look at the outright odds. Elise Mertens, fresh from her victory in Hertogenbosch, she is $6. She's the favourite. Katie Bolter, $7. Beatrice Haddad-Maia, $8. Linda Noskova, $9. Leylah Fernandez and Tatiana Maria, obviously a question about whether the German turns up. They're 10 to 1, as is Clara Towson, the number 2 seed. Magdalenette, $14. Diana Yastremska, $16. Yulia Putintseva, $18. Olga Danilovic, $20. And it's $22 bar those. What were your thoughts, Nigel?
Well, I mean, if you're going through this draw and you're trying to find players, it's very hard to find many players who have a very good grass court record. There's a lot of players who aren't very good on the grass courts. So if you look at people for grass court form, you narrow it down to a few people. I mean, Clara Towson is a popular bet on this show pretty much every time I come on. I always think she's a great player, but she's got absolutely diabolical on a grass court. She's only won 2 of 9 matches, and she's didn't win a match last year. She was 0-3 on the year. So Clara Towson for me here wouldn't be anywhere near my way of thinking at 10 to 1. The tournament favourite, Elise Mertens, what she got left in the tank after that win. I mean, Alexandrova win in the semi-final was the most craziest match she ever had. Then she's gone on and won the final today. She's got to then come over from Germany to Nottingham, play probably again on Tuesday. Always want to oppose those players. Tatiana Maria, she said in her interview after she won the title in London, she said she was supposed to be in the car going to Nottingham, but she's going to celebrate this win. She's 37 years old. She's not going to, the likelihood she's never going to win a 500 again, I would say. So this could be the last chance. So she's what is she going to be? So there's 2 10-to-1 shots there that Towson, Maria, I wouldn't have, and Elise Mertens, the tournament favourite, I wouldn't have. So we're looking at the draw. I don't think there's much. I would say the bottom half is slightly a little bit easier than the top half of the draw, but there's some players in there who you got to hope. I mean, if Petra Kvitova was at it, she could turn out to be one of the best bets in this tournament. She's not even in the betting. Going into 20. This is a grass court tournament before Wimbledon. Petra Kvitova's not even in the betting for up to 28 to 1. So that could turn out to be a massive price. But given what we've seen from since his return from childbirth, I mean, she's nowhere near the levels that she has been before. So Haddad-Maia, I think, is a fade. If she plays like she did, I think she could get beat round 1 by Kessler. Bolter, you've got to respect. She's a player that's won this tournament twice. The home crowd will be behind her. You've got to respect her. In that top half of the draw, Noskova, who is a player that I like, but her grass court record is questionable. The bottom half of the draw, Leylah Fernandez has been diabolical form coming into it. Kvitova, she's going to be helped because I think she's due to play Tatiana Maria, and I think that's the battle of the mums. And I think Tatiana Maria might not turn up, so I think Kvitova's got a chance. Merton's going to be shot. Towson not good enough. So really, I mean, the bottom half, anybody could come through it. And I don't like saying it, but I think if you can get a big price on Petra Kvitova, she could be a bet here. But it's one that comes with a big warning, because we don't know what kind of, her form is awful. But if she can put a run together, 50-1 about Petra Kvitova in this draw is insane. It's a mass. She's a two-time women's champion, biggest server in the women's game, brilliant grass court, and she's 50-1 in a tournament where Elise Mertens is 6-1 favourite. Doesn't sit right with me. But I'm going to go for someone a little bit shorter price, because I think favourites do well in it, and I'm going to have just a 1 point win bet on Linda Noskova at 9-1. Now I know she's not got the best grass court record, but she's got a very favourable draw. She plays a qualifying round one, yet to know who that is. I think you would expect her to win that pretty easy. She can be a very short price favourite. She'll then play Harriet Dart or Francesca Jones. She'll then run into probably Shramkova or Putnetsaver's in drastic form, and then she's got a semi-final against Bolter. Got to respect Bolter. But the other reason I like her, and I think this is quite important to note, that the Wimbledon seedings will be announced end of next week, and Noskova's currently 32 in the world. So I think that it's really important for her to have a big week. And Bolter's about 35 in the world. So if they have a good week, they're going to guarantee that they'll be seeded for Wimbledon. And I think those people around 32, 33, 34 this week in action will want to have a good week, get to the quarterfinals, semi-finals at least. Their motivation is going to be there to guarantee themselves a seeding or give them a good chance of a seeding for Wimbledon. So I think that's a factor. I think she's a talented player. It's not as quick as other grass court events, which will suit her, but I think at the price 9-1, she's probably the best option for me at the top end of the market, given that the fact there's question marks about Mertens, given Tatiana Maria might not play as well, and I think that benefits her in what is a very favourable draw. So I'm going to have 1 point win of Noskova at 9-1, but if anyone wants a little bit of pizza money and interest, if Petra Kvitova can get that big left-handed serve going, 50-1 her could look absolutely huge.
Yeah, obviously I backed Kvitova last week at Queen's Club, and she took the first set against Beatrice Haddad-Maia. It looked very good, but it kind of unravelled. I mean, there weren't many. I mean, she was broken once in the second set, once in the third. Haddad-Maia served well. But yeah, I didn't see enough to think. I totally get your argument, though. I mean, she's proven on the surface. This is a much weaker field than Queen's, and I think she's $40 or $50, so she's a bigger price. She's about the same price as she was last week in a weaker field.
It doesn't seem right that Sunny Cartel is the half the price.
Yeah, I mean, there's like two players there. Sonny Cartel and Francesca Jones are two players who are allergic to grass, from what I've seen. So they're much shorter than she is. Putnetsaver's in terrible form. Danilovic, don't know about her on grass. I mean, I'm going for tried and tested with Bolter. I think she actually got a bit close to Deanna Schneider than I thought she would. I mean, Bolter is vulnerable against really big hitters. There's no one like that in the field. There's no one like that in her top of the draw. Perhaps with the exception of Noskova. So obviously the dream semi-final for us would be Bolter Noskova in the semi-final, and one of us gets through. But Bolter's got Lulu Sun first up. Obviously, she had a great run at Wimbledon last year. Hasn't done much since. Then it's probably Cartal. I think Bolter beats her every day on this surface. And then probably Haddad-Maia, who's not been in good form. And obviously, she's won it the last 2 years. I don't see anything to put me off her winning, put me off her backing her for a third consecutive title. And as you say, she's got that motivation of the seeding for Wimbledon, so she needs to have a big week. I think $7 is a really fair price, especially when you factor in Mertens and Maria both winning titles today. One might not turn up, even both might not turn up. And I think, that probably makes Bolter the favourite. And I think $7 is a really fair price. And I'm going to have 1.5 points each way on Bolter for this tournament. I think, you look at that field, and as you say, there are so few players who you can trust on grass, who you can trust to actually play well and go deep. I mean, Mike, I looked at Noskova she's really inexperienced on grass. She's never won 2 matches at a tournament, but as you say, the draw has been very kind to her. You'd expect her to get past the first 2 rounds without much trouble at all. And then you've got Putintseva, who's in awful form. Might get Shramkova, who would be a little more difficult. Although I think she beat did she play her last week? No, maybe not. But no.
Shramkova played Raducanu.
Yes, Shramkova lost to Raducanu. I think I can see the argument in Noshkova. I just don't think she's experienced enough. Bolter has plenty of experience on grass, and I really like her for this tournament.
I mean, I just looked at looking at some of the results for Noshkova. I mean, if you look at her record, she's 4-6 on grass, but she's played Samsonova and a quick bad Homburg last year, and she lost 6-3 in a final set. She got beat by Ostapenko in Birmingham in the final set as well, when she was about a 3-1 dog. And if you look at her record last year, she played in Berlin and she beat Angelika Kerber, former Wimbledon final champion, and she lost to Ons Jabeur, who was playing good and is obviously another former Wimbledon finalist. So she's got beat by players that have been good players. I mean, she got beat by Andreescu last year at Wimbledon in the second round. She's got a feeling she's one of the most talented youngsters in the game, and in this field isn't going to take much winning. So I just thought 9-1 was a value play.
So there you go. I'm going for Katie Bolter and Nigel going for Linda Noshkova at Nottingham. That's pretty much it from Betting Weekly WTA. But of course, Nigel, you're going to chat to Sean about the ATP. How did he got 2 finalists in the same tournament, didn't he?
That's not bad, is it? I mean, he's had some really bad luck on his outright picks. Lots of people pulled out before the tournament started. Lots of people injured, retired, various different things. And now he's hit a bit of it was coming, wasn't it? A 40-1 and a 20-1 in the final doesn't get much better than that. Diallo won the tournament, so the 20-1 shot wins, the 40-1 shot places. So it just shows you, these figures here shows that we're losing quite a bit of money on these shows, but we're giving outright picks, and you only need like 1 week where one of them hits and suddenly you're back in the game. And that's exactly what happened with Sean last week. I mean, we were 6 units down. We're about 15 units up now on the back of 1 week. So it changes all the time. And obviously with Wimbledon coming out, I feel that these are our strongest times on both the WTA and on the ATP with the grass court season coming around the corner. So all to be very optimistic. He's in form, and when he goes hot, Sean, he goes really hot. So hopefully this week we're going to keep that continued, like the weather.
Long may it continue. So there's tennis. We've got you covered here on Because We Win, and got the Club World Cup as well, Nigel.
Yeah, it was a ball fest, wasn't it? The first match 0-0. I think that can only get better, can't it? That was not what the tournament organisers wanted, a 0-0 draw to start with. But we'll have you covered all through the week on Betting Weekly Live with all the guys. I've tennis all the way. I'm not really looking much into the football at the moment. It's all about tennis for me, and I'm having an off season with football, and I'll be back when I start the Premier League. But there's some very, very capable handicappers on this channel who can make you some money. Mark my words.
Got Betting Weekly Live. We've got Betting Weekly Tennis Live. Of course, we'll have all the in-play action this week from Monday to Wednesday. We've got the American sports as well. There's so much here with Betting Weekly Studios. Nigel, thank you for your time as always. Hope the throat clears up and you're back to form.
Yeah, I should be right. Too much singing last night at the reggae night I was at. Too much singing.
I'd like to have been a fly in the wall for that one, Nigel.
You wouldn't have done.
All right, mate. We'll take it easy. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again soon on Betting Weekly WTA.